You've got what it takes.
Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and TrackRacer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to ARCA Sparks. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here for round number 4. It is Michigan, and we are looking forward to a fantastic run. Can anybody break the SRM dominance that has been happening in the prior 3 starts? I'm Mr. Carl Wilkinson with the up here in the booth, and I'm joined by Mr. Big Al. Big Al, how you going, mate?
Hey, doing pretty good there, Carl. Excited to be here tonight. Missed last week, but you know what? This week we're back here, and I'm excited. I tell you what, there's going to be a lot going on here in Michigan. This is going to be one of those tracks where I do believe drivers are going to be looking to make a strong stand here if they want to make a change in the points. How you doing tonight there, Carl?
Yeah, I am good and ready for this race. And as I said, we both missed the last round, unfortunately. But we are here ready and raring to go. And we're also joined by Mr. James Watson in the booth. James, how you going, mate?
I'm going all right. Looking forward to seeing how this one plays out.
Exactly. It's going to be an interesting one. It's another large track. We're going to see the draft come into effect. And these things have quite a bit of draft to them.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest track we've been to all season. We're going to see a lot of drafts, probably a lot of arrow pushing, and maybe some big calamities here. This is the restrictor plate race, thankfully, so we might not get the big one, but this race could get pretty sketchy here.
Absolutely. Well, 2 mile circuit, 3.21 kilometers. We're looking at 75 laps tonight. Fuel is at 100, but they are going to need to come in for a stop, we would say. And of course, 4 slick sets of tyres, and it is a fixed setup race as well. So, no getting a little bit of advantage with that little bit of extra setup for some of those drivers. So, we are getting ready for qualifying in the very near future. Before we head to that, though, we'll just say a big thank you to our sponsors, of course, Team Watson Racing Setups. Big thank you to them for jumping on board and helping keep the broadcast and the lights on. And of course, Doji Mobile joining us here at the moment and keeping, again, the broadcast booth nice and nice and warm or nice and cool, depending on which part of the planet you are from. And of course, Scotcher Racing Fuels for keeping everybody fueled up and ready for this race. But qualifying is about to start, and we're going to get ready for this one, boys.
Yeah, definitely, indeed, man. And to our sponsors, we really appreciate our sponsors, especially to all our fans tuning in tonight. If you're tuning in on Twitter, X, or it's not Twitter is X, right? So X, yeah. Facebook, Instagram. Go ahead, man. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Show some support to these drivers down here tonight. Looks like we've got a pretty good field here tonight. It's going to be stacked up here tonight going into the ARCA Sparks.
Absolutely. Just quickly, we'll look at the championship standings for tonight's race. Of course, Ruben Phelps in the lead with 114 points. Then it is Paul Olsen in P2, 97 points. 95 points for Kenny Powell. David Gervais in 4th with 85 points. And then Maddie Ray, last week's winner, in 5th with 81 points. And it's Jerry Walters, Matt Berth, Chris Severa, Matthew Cisner, and Jeff Engio. Of course, the Everything Simulated ARCA Sparks Championship is getting underway, and well, it's going to be hard to beat Ruben Phelps. He is an absolute points Goliath when he is on form, and he is very, very hard to beat. Even if he has an off week or a bad week, he still manages to finish somewhere inside the top 10 usually. He is a very tricky man to beat.
Yeah, and that's the mark of a true championship competitor. You know, not every race is going to be a banner race. You're going to have some that you struggle with. So if you could have a week where you're not running your best, but you can still snag a top 5, then that makes you unbelievably hard to beat.
Yeah, the annoying thing is, as well, is he's quite quick too, which doesn't help things out when you're a slow poke like me on the track. You know, it's he is very good at getting those wins under his belt. But can we see somebody dethrone SRM here tonight? They are going to be trying their best, and well, plenty of people out there going to be really pushing for it. Russell Bracker just set the fastest time, though. Speaking of SRM cars, Russell Bracker out here, and another very quick driver, Richie Kinnaman, just goes ahead as Ruben Phelps jumps up to the top of the timing boards now. It's all chopping and changing as they get those second laps in, those faster laps falling into line at the moment, and the grid is starting to form here.
You know, there's one car though right now that's actually, I don't see him on the racetrack, but I'm going to stick with Severa tonight. Hopefully he'll actually be able to stick around tonight and actually get the majority of the laps in toward this thing. Chris he's a tremendous competitor here, and I definitely think he could be competitive. I mean competitive. He could be competitive tonight. So looking to see what he can do. Also looking to see if Paul Olsen can maintain his second place position. Greg Wojcinski, another driver that's actually had a pretty good run here. So maybe Michigan will be in his favor, and he'll actually be able to get his name up on the leaderboard. There's a lot of good drivers here tonight. So we're definitely going to have to see how this one unfolds itself.
Absolutely. There is plenty of talent in this field, and look, a win is nothing certain at the moment. It is very much down to keeping the car in the right place, keeping the car out of trouble, and keeping yourself up to speed as well. And this new ARCA car has been a little bit of a car to get used to for a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers that used to drive the old ARCA car, this is a big leap into a very different style of racing, and it has thrown out a lot of people and really brought to the front some different drivers who are capable to sort of drive around the tightness of it.
But I tell you what, this is definitely one fun car to drive. You really can't compare it to the previous or its predecessor, because I mean, once you get in this thing and you fully actually get some laps under your belt, James, I don't know if you agree with that. Have you really noticed a big difference as far as tuning this car versus to its predecessor?
I really don't have a whole lot of experience tuning either of the cars, and I don't have a whole lot of experience in the new ARCA car driving it to begin with, but like you said, it's a much tighter car, a lot tighter than what you were typically used to with the previous gen ARCA car. So it's bringing up a completely different skill set up to the forefront, with having to work with a car that doesn't quite have a similar amount of rotation and still getting it through the corner as quick as possible.
Well, it looks like qualifying's over. Gonna have to get ready to switch this thing over. Where are we going there, Carl?
Well, let us head to the lineup, let us head to the grid, and let us head to find out who took pole position from that session. And it was the championship leader, Ruben Phelps, taking pole. Richie Klinneman takes the outside, starting in second place. On row number 2, we've got Russell Bracker and Maddie Cisner. Your picks up there. Good, decent position up in the second row. On row number 3 tonight, it's Tony Jones with Jeff Engler. On row 4, it's Greg Wojcinski and Crowley. As we roll over onto onto row number 5, there we go, Jerry Walters and Devon Baker.
And row number 6, we have Troy Mortensen in the 23 and Chaz Justice in the 002. Row 7 has Tristan Cook in the 550 and Kenny Powell in the 24. Chris Severa in the 10 and Derek Jacobs in the 27 on row 8. Paul Olsen P2 in the championship, row 9 with David Gervais in the 88. And then Matt Frith, our final starter for tonight's race.
Yeah, we have to apologise. There's a couple of names that you might recognise on the grid at the moment. They are not racing. I can assure you we're not racing. But we somebody that we won't mention, that might be a producer, that might be working behind the scenes doing all the hard work in the background. Set it so we can't spectate, so we have to jump in as actual drivers today. So a good little mess up from Kobe Jordan there. So we'd like to rub salt into that wound as we get ready for this race.
Yeah, man, you know, when those drivers see Big Al and that 101 car flash across the board, wow, you can see their heart rates just start to go up. You can hear the heart start to pitter-patter because everybody knows what's going on. Well, actually, I'm just kidding. But, man, this field right here tonight is not kidding. Ruben Phelps is actually set out tonight, and he's going to try to maintain what he's already been doing, and that's dominating this field. This series has actually been a pet of his, if you will. Tonight, I'm hoping, though, that Chris Severa can actually stick around here and get a finish. You know, that would be a key thing. And guys, it's a long one tonight, and this is not going to go down easy. As everybody knows, Michigan is not your most favorite track. This thing's going to eat tires, and these guys are going to have their hands full, lights out on the pace car. He's going to be getting out the way. Tell us what we're up against here tonight there, Cole.
Well, Michigan is one of those tracks, as you said, it's going to be tricky on the tyres. Drivers have got to get it in and get the car turned before they get on the power too quickly. They're going to start scrubbing those front tyres very, very quickly, and that front right is going to really start screaming at them if they go too hard, too fast. So expect to see a couple of drivers just easing back at the start, not going at full hell for leather. Of course, there is tyre changes, so if we see a caution after about the first 10-15 laps, we might see an early tyre change. But it's going to be full-on pack racing here at Michigan, and it is going to be some fantastic stuff. So if you're not ready to, if you've not seen it before, if you're not caught ARCA Sparks in the previous few races, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like buttons, get yourselves ready, get yourself enjoying, because we are about to go live here for round 4 of Michigan. It is ARCA Sparks Season 1, and the green flag has dropped, and away they go. Everybody away cleanly here. And as you can see, the two SRM cars linking up on the low line pretty much instantly. Everybody else throughout the field starting to spread out, trying to work out where their line's going to be. Who is going to take that nice tight inside line? Big run from behind on the number 6. It's Matty Sisner getting a run and breaking up the SRM cars up at the front. Great move there.
Green flag racing continues as Ruben Phelps continues to lead the field here. Further behind him, though, we got 3 wide racing going back. The 12 car makes contact with the 5. He's going to go sliding down on the inside. Caution is going to be out for the first time here tonight. Definitely going to go back and unpack that right now, though. Everybody's going to be racing to catch up. They'll slow down, rather, with the pace car. And I think that caution really came out at the best time for the 4 car because he was off the pace. So
let's see here.
Yeah, that just kind of looked like the 12 kind of cleared himself a little bit there.
Lucky for
the good news is no major damage right there. Everybody seems to kind of make it away. Now, these guys don't have a fast repair, so it's really, in these ARCA cars, the damage model is so spectacular. So it's always good to see them mix it up like that, but it's even better when they can kind of actually drive off without seeing car parts scattered all over the racetrack, especially this early in, guys. Only the 3rd lap right there. So if this is indicative of what we're expecting to see here tonight, it could probably be a long one.
Yeah, Baker's definitely lucky to get away with that without much damage at the very least. He was able to keep out of the wall, which is huge. Yeah, doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage on the 5 car, so looks like everyone got away scot-free, possibly.
Of course,
Greg Wachinski there driving that 5 car. You know, we were talking about him a little bit earlier. Greg, probably a little bit too early to start making a name for yourself. You know, well, look, there's action on pit road. Not sure what to make of this. What do you think about this one there, guys? Colt, is it too early or this is just right?
Well, it looks like they're probably going to be coming in for fuel than anything else. Wouldn't surprise me. I was going to say if Baker came in and maybe slapped some fresh tyres on there, but it wasn't a huge amount of spinning and sliding up at the tyres, so it doesn't look like he's really eaten those tyres up much either. So I reckon they're just going to come in for a quick splash and dash, just get a little bit of extra fuel on board, just to give themselves some options latterly in this race. And, well, considering half the field has done it, it's going to shake things up if we get a big long green run here.
Yeah, I would have done the exact same thing as everyone else did right here. If you're running towards the back and there's an early caution, absolutely come in and top off. You don't know how the rest of this race is going to play out. You don't know if that extra little bit of fuel might be what sets you apart from winning the race or just getting a decent finish. You know, as we saw from the real-life NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race earlier today. No spoilers, but let's just say fuel is a very important part of stock car racing.
You think? I think you're gonna need the fuel, and you're gonna need the tires. But speaking of fuel, throwing out another extra shout out to our sponsor there, Scotch Fuel, keeping these guys fired up, and that's what they need to be. Lights are still on the pace car, not yet time to double it up, but man, early on into this thing, just 3 laps in before our first caution. Hopefully, though, that will actually end the cautions because, guys, I mean, with no fast repairs and 75 laps on the board, that's gonna make for a long evening.
Yes, indeed, Big Al.
Lights off on the pace car. Time to double them up. Tell us in the chats, what do you think about tonight's racing here in the ARCA Sparks League? What would you like to see? How are we doing? You know, where you from? Where you at? What you doing on this Friday evening? Let us know. Come on. Get engaged with us. Inquiring minds want to know what you're up to as well.
As the pace car lights are out, we're going to be getting ready to go back to green flag racing here. And, well, we've had this early caution. Everybody's seen what happens. And now they're going to want to try and get some green flags underneath their belt to eat into that 70 laps of this race. And, again, it's going to be Ruben Phelps leading away. And it's an SRM lockout at the front because Russell Bracker is up there on his high side. So will we see any team play come in here as we wait for the pace car to come in?
Coming off a forward pace car, getting ready to get down and out of the way, and that's going to allow these guys to hit that loud pedal, get back to doing what they came to do, and that's green flag racing. Got them stacked up right now. Ruben Phelps leading this field into the Geico restart zone, and there he goes off and away. Got the 74 car Russell Bracker. He is trying to do everything he can. Now selecting to come back behind his teammate. Now it's going to be nose to tail going into one here at Michigan. Drivers are going to be able to go through turn one right now almost at full throttle since they're not up to full speed. But remember, it's going to take at least 2 tires to get these 2 laps to get these tires warmed up. That's what we're looking for right now. Otherwise, if we don't, we might see a little bit more slip sliding away. Green flag racing right now.
The rest of the pack very well behaved behind. They're all just trying to get themselves into a decent position here. And look, something we haven't really talked about so far this evening is the sort of dirty air effect of these cars. When you're behind them or following them, they can be even tighter when you're really close heading into the corners, and that can really cause issues as well. So they are such a different beast to the previous generation of ARCA car. But when you get it all switched on, when you get it absolutely perfect, this thing is such a blast to drive. And you can see now up on the high side, he got a big move coming from Cisner. He's trying to get up there in the number 6, trying to work his way past those 2 SRM cars and trying to break up that pair once again.
Yeah, he's doing a good job so far, just kind of trying to figure out which line is going to be the way to go here. You know, despite how wide it is, Michigan always kind of runs a lot more narrower than you would think. Oh, right as I say that, they're proving the point. Oh, little bit of right side romance from the 6 and the 74.
Yeah, you
Oh,
betcha. And that's one thing you're going to expect to see, too. Coming around turn 3 like that, these cars are going to start to wash up. Sorry, turn 2. It's just going to happen. So there's no way around it as they're now making their way back around to the start-finish line. Still nose to tail for those S&M cars.
Oh, like this, that got the wall a little bit on entry there.
There was a big wobble there for that number 6, and just getting it back under control now. But you've got to be careful because that wall is very inviting, and there is a big magnet on the outside of turns 4 and turns number 2, which really like to invite cars up into that wall. And as you said before, Big Al, these cars have a very new damage model, and they feel very easy to damage. But when you get a whack on the right side of these cars, they never feel the same again.
Yeah, you're definitely right, because once that nose clip goes, it's gone, man. So it's good to see green flag racing here as these guys are almost street wide coming around the turn to 25. Looks like the 6 and the 002. But, man, the thing is, once you knock that balance out of whack and you lose that downforce, especially on a track like Michigan, it's definitely going to make for a little bit more bullish conditions in the cockpit, if you will.
Now, I will say the one thing that's a little more convenient on this version of the ARCA car than the original is the fact that there's a lot less skew in this car. Like the old ARCA car, you had all that kind of overhang from the very back of the right rear bodywork. So you could get a little closer to the wall. And if you do kind of hit the wall just a little bit, it's not gonna just kind of full on drag you into the wall like the old ARCA car would with all that skew. You know, because it's not as extreme on these ones, you can get a little more wall contact and have it not just fully glue you to the wall as bad.
Yeah, riding on the back of that Menards car there, I do believe that is from the 74 of Bratka. Oh, nope, sorry, it's not. That's actually from Matt Stisner, as you see the 002 there behind him coming off the wing.
You can see this front field is really condensed at the moment from Ruben Phelps down to Matt Berth. We've got a very small time gap indeed. Then we jump back to Kenny Powell at the moment leading the second group. I wonder if that second group is just chilling out a little bit, just running themselves at their own pace and trying to extend their fuel numbers a little bit here, seeing what they can do later in this race, because there's a fairly decent gap now formed between these two packs of cars, and I wonder if anybody back here is trying something very, very different at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out, but at the moment it is Ruben Phelps and Russell Bratka, the two SRM cars in the lead.
Yeah, Matt Sisson's going to be doing everything he can to try to break up this little party that's going on. But right now he has no help. And everybody behind seems to be just kind of taking it easy, if you will. But if you keep watching Matt Sissona, he keeps poking. He is not going to let these guys just off with an easy ride. So, you know, Ruben might be having a good evening, but Russell is definitely going to have his hands full. And that might even allow these other guys to kind of catch up here. It might make this first pack even a little bit more sporty, guys, now that we're on, 14, 15 laps in. Tires should be warm. Everybody should actually start to be falling into their own groove right now. So this is where the racing actually begins.
Speaking of racing, I just want to highlight, look at there in 5th place. Old Crowy coming out of nowhere. And here he is making a pass for P4. He was just like P9 like 3-4 laps ago, it feels like, and all of a sudden he's knocking on the door of the top 3.
He's also one of those cars that's made a pit stop as well. So he's currently the highest running car that has made a stop at the moment, and that could be interesting to see latterly in this race. But up the front, Matty Sisson has managed to break up the two SRM cars, and it's now putting Ruben Phelps under attack as Russell Bratka is just struggling a little bit as he's just moved back a few places and he has got Crowley all over the back of him at the moment. And I wonder if they are just starting to sort of pay the price. The tyres just getting a little bit warmer, and they're just having to take a lap or two just to relax and get themselves in there. As we see a big bump draft there from Cisner to Ruben Phelps. He's really trying to get himself to the front of this field.
Yeah, and he's going to find himself up front, but the question is, it's a little bit early to be that racy, so I wouldn't be surprised if Phelps and Bratko were to relinquish the lead, if you will, fall back a little bit, because the one thing you don't want to do this early in the race is you don't want to tear up your equipment, because, there's no good if everybody else is racing and you're stuck behind the wall in these ARCA cars. That damage model will actually punish you. So we will be watching to see if these guys are actually out there making any contact, or if they're actually using good sense and, good judgment and common sense. Yeah, that's what we're running out of.
Look at the run there from Craig, the 00 there, just absolutely flying up to these top two as it's side by side between Phelps and Cisner.
It was almost straight wide there, guys.
That's a heck of a slide job there by Crowe. Just barely made it work. And there we go. Now we get the 3 wide.
Yeah, these guys are battling this hard up front. This is not going to relinquish. These guys are going to be battling this way for the majority of the competition. Now, we've only had one caution, but remember, this is no stage racing, so expect for these guys to actually put their dukes up. Now, those guys in the back that you were asking about, yeah, I think they are kind of taking it easy, because they understand that one thing you can't do at Michigan, you can't run far out this hard. Can't do it for long, and what's going to happen is these guys are going to slowly burn that equipment up, and then they're going to find themselves for a ride going back, and it's just going to be able, while they're sitting there trying to get the heat out of those tires, you know what I mean, because that's the only way. You're going to have to try to cool them down. Help me out here, James. Do I know what I'm talking about, or am I fishing?
Oh no, you absolutely know what you're talking about, Big Al. And especially the tire heat, that's the big thing. You're putting in so much heat in your tires, especially running the lines that these guys are running. These higher lines, they really just absolutely take so much health out of the tires. And that's what makes Michigan so difficult, is you kind of have to use these higher lines. The very inside lane has a different degree of banking, so it's just not quite as viable. Oh no!
I'm on the backstretch.
The 74 gets turned into the wall. Yeah, Bradka.
Actually able to keep it pointing in the right direction, and unfortunately for him, the caution flag is not going to come out. Fortunately for everybody else, we're going to keep a green flag racing continuing as we're unpacking this right now. You see the 002. He's right there on the inside. That's Chaz Justice. And then all of a sudden, the 74's nose goes directly into the wall. Now, that damage is still going to affect that car some. We'll be watching to see how it affects his lap times, guys.
Yeah, you just see the 002 just come down, come away from the wall just a slight little bit. And it just kind of gets right down into the quarter panel of 74 and just hooks him up. I don't know if it was a side draft or 002 just got a little too close to the wall, wanted to kind of pull away from it. But yeah, just that little bit of contact, just absolutely not ruining the day of both cars, but it's definitely making life a lot harder right now.
It's not what you want to be doing.
Go ahead, Cole.
You do not want to be doing that this early on in the race as well. We're just about to hit lap 20, and as we're talking about, damage does not make for a good race car, so that's going to be hard to recover, especially with no caution flag coming out. That is a painful one indeed.
Yeah, absolutely, because if it offsets the way that car handles, especially going in a straight line, and Michigan has that long backstretch, so if that car is actually pronating, if it's angled in, whatever, that's going to cause those tires to wear out even quickly, man, and it's just no fun when you actually have one blow out on these cars, because it will tear that car up. So it could possibly cause that car to actually have premature pit stops. and throwing him completely off of the pick cycle because you just don't want to take the time to get that damage fixed in the green flag conditions.
Yeah, it's a long, lengthy repair stage, and it's just horrible when it's a green race like this. If it goes green to the end, you're just stuck with this car, and you just hate it so much. But we're seeing ARCA coming in to the lane right now, and I think he can get some of those repairs.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely think you're spot on right now. I think he has to come down. He has to get that damage fixed if he wants to be competitive. And we'll be watching the field. Looks like he has no choice but to go a lap down. He's skipping. Oh, actually, they're taking tires. And that might actually go back to what we were saying about how his incident caused his tires to actually wear out prematurely and caused him not to actually be able to handle that bad boy going down the curb.
Yeah, it's the unseen issue of an incident like that is you don't really see it from the outside, but the tyres take such a pounding. When you spin up those tyres, you get so much heat into them, the car becomes undrivable. And the issue is, especially around here, is when you get that real build-up of temperature, as we can see, bump drafting going on between the 0-2 here, really racing hard at the moment throughout the field. Chris Severa up there too. It's some great racing going on at the moment, but when you get that tyre temperature build up, it's very hard to stop it and go back to not having it, basically. You're sort of stuck then, and the only real choice you have is either really running it soft under a caution or changing the tyres, and I think that is what we have seen happen. A change of tyres to get that car at least somewhat competitive and see what you can do now for the rest of the race.
Hey, guess what, guys? While you were sleeping, Chris Severa, who started this thing all the way back in 15th place, has made his way up to 5. He's in the top 5 right now in that 10 car. He's got it pointed in the right direction, just getting around the 002. Now he is actually, he's going to be hunting down that lead pack. Now, there is a little bit of a tire disparity. You got Crowley right now who's leading this thing. He actually pitted along with Chris Severa. So these are those 2 cars that are about 4 laps off of the leaders there. You remember those guys elected to stay out. So you got Crowley with 23 laps. You got Cisna, Phelps, and Engler all on 27 laps. And then you got Chris Severa. So he's actually made his way back up there. Then you'll have Jerry Walters behind him, who is another 27 lapper before you get to Rich Kleinman. And then these guys are just showing now that those laps do matter. Those 4 laps are definitely starting to favor these guys when it comes to their lap times.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they took tyres in that first stop or just fuel, because I'm looking back at some of the times and it just looks like it was fuel only for a lot of these guys. And I wonder if that's helping them a little bit as well, just not having to save quite as much. They can just go a little bit harder on pace as well. But we're seeing the sort of main person that's made it work is Crowley up at front. He's leading the way at the moment with that little bit of about 6 seconds in the lane. And then, as you said, Richard Kleinman, Jerry Walters, and Chris Vera all coming in, and they are sort of moving their way up the field as well. So there's lots of different little wrinkles in this race that is coming along, and that is what we love to see in motorsport. Crowley here up 7 positions from the start. Chaz Justice as well, big mover, up 8 spots too. So there's been some big moves and shakers throughout the field, and we are seeing plenty of action at the moment here for the ARCA Spark Series.
Yeah, I definitely think you're spot on there. I was totally off on the pit box times. So one of those big things that made a difference is those guys in the back were not battling as hard as the guys in front. And you know, it's like divorce. I mean, tire damage is forever. When you're out there early on in that stage and you're burning them up, you're stuck riding that horse, man, with bad shoes, and that's not fun.
There's nothing worse than a race car on horrible, hot, used tyres. They feel useless. You know, the thing that's always said about race cars is they're so agile, they're so nimble, they're so good to drive. That's so true on, you know, new tyres, but as soon as those tyres fall off the cliff, they are absolute pigs. And this ARCA car, the tightness just keeps crawling in, and around a place like Michigan as well, where it is quite fast, you're just going to be getting yourself closer and closer to the wall, and eventually the 2 items will meet each other, and you'll find yourself in a safer barrier, having a big moment as those tyres really fall off that cliff.
Yeah, she turns from a princess into a dump truck real quick.
One thing I wanted to point out, Russell Brecka has not been back out on track since he brought it down pit road. I think his day might be done.
That's unfortunate,
means,
man.
It is, and that means 0-6 of Ruben Phelps. He's all by himself. He's got no one to work with, no one to help. So he's one-man show here, trying to battle back and retake the lead from Croy. Yeah, that second pack, they are coming. Chris Severa has brought it down to about 1 second, under a second from the top four. I believe they have the draft now. This is a lot more competition here in the forefront.
You know, I was kind of worried about that too, because this is one of those tracks where, and they were pushing each other so hard there through those first 14, 15 laps, where the strategy kind of goes out the window because you're just really kind of defensive early on, where the guys in the back, they're just really able to kind of run their own line and not get caught up in the side by side and having to push the car lower maybe than it wants to go earlier on, which is, you know, causes that scrub you were talking about. So the 74 car makes his way back out onto the racetrack. That's good. He absolutely was getting damage repaired. There's no other way I could see that, you know, in order for him to stay in there that long to come out that many laps. 14 laps. Nope. 9 laps down, he is actually being scored right now. So good on the 74. We watching to see how the rest of his evening goes. But back on the racetrack, the 00 Crowley is in the lead, and slowly behind him, he is having Ruben Phelps, who is being pushed by Matty Cisna because they are starting to feel right now. Matty Cisna is making his move on Phelps on the inside, that 6 car right by the 006. Cisna's actually showing the line right now, gonna go run low. Oh, fakes back up high, trying to get the draft to pull back up. Man, that was a big move right there, guys, but I think it might have cost him a little bit more than it gained him overall. But here comes the 10 of Severa, and he is pushing down on the inside of the 25 of Jeff Engler, trying to get himself up in the top 4 here, guys, as he continues his charge to the front.
Yeah, and you see the dividends that all that saving and just kind of biding your time brings. You know, that's the hardest part about tire saving, is that it requires so much self-discipline because, you know as well as I do, is us as race car drivers, like, we're coded to drive as fast and as hard as possible. And so having to focus on the big tire save strategy like that, you have to kind of rechange your whole way of thinking. And like, especially when you're getting past, that's the hardest part, is because you want to try to fight, you want to try to keep that car behind you, you don't want to purposely lose spots. But that's where you really got to tell yourself, is like, okay, I'm getting past now, but I'm gonna be the one passing here in another 15-20 laps or so. And Chris had the self-discipline, and he went from several seconds off of the lead pack to
Green
battling for the win.
Green flag pit stops. They started. The 4-car Matt Brith, he was the first one to come down. Now we got the 23 and the 12, and you were absolutely right. Chris Vera continues his charge to the front, because what did he do? He saved. But here these guys come, and now this is definitely going to throw the first flapjack on the griddle, if you will.
Yeah, interestingly, Troy Mortensen came in. He's one of those cars that stopped for the caution, so he doesn't save too much fuel in that little run. Obviously wants to get some fresh tyres on there as well, so we'll be interested to see how long these leaders can go now up at the front, and when they pull it in, Jerry Borders into the lane as well. And now,
ooh, Wojcicki in the wall in the background.
Yeah, but in the front ground there, the 10 of Severa had a humongous run right there on the 6 of Phelps, but it didn't work out though. And now that allowed Matty Cisna to actually get back into the fray. So now that pushes Severa back all the way in the 4th place as we are just halfway through this thing, gentlemen. Halfway through. Some guys have pitted, some guys have not. We are still watching the leaders, and these guys are hot, and they're definitely maintaining what they got. Doesn't show any signs of slowing down or coming out pit road. What are your thoughts, guys? Help me out here.
I think especially if I'm Severa or Crowe, I'm trying to stretch this as long as I can. The overcut, I brought this up many times, the overcut on iRacing is just so overpowered. It's such an advantage to be able to go longer and have the fresher tires for that last little bit of the race. It's such an advantage over those that try to do the undercut. So I'm running it dry. I'm going as far as it could take me. As the 6 hits the wall, a little bit of contact for Cisna.
Yeah, Ruben Phelps right now. We almost have a 3-wide situation for the lead. Ruben Phelps was doing everything that he could as Crowley was pushed high, but you got Chris Severa now going low, and he's actually going to come down, and he's going to be able to benefit and pull up into 2nd place now. Oh, still side by side between Phelps and Severa. Severa's going to come up a little bit short here, but Phelps is not. He is still going to be trying to get his nose down, but Severa's right back there side by side, these two. Coming out of turn 3.
It's so hard to pass here, man.
Turn 2 coming down the backstretch.
Like I mentioned earlier, even though this track is so wide, you really only have like that 2nd and 3rd line that are really good and usable. And because you have so little, is Chris Severa coming down pit road?
He is indeed.
Oh, wow.
So, early pull there from Severa. He's decided it's time to come in, and surprised actually a little bit because he's one of those drivers that came in as well in the caution, so he had a little bit of extra fuel on board, possibly from some of the others. So great job of saving up the front.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Chris was he's burning them up to get up there. And I think he's just kind of showing those guys what he had without showing them what he had. But the leaders, they're still out there duking it out, and they have not come down. Oh, wait. I spoke too soon. Mr. Phelps right now in the 06. The 58 also coming out on pit road. And those are the leaders with the 002 following suit, guys. So this could actually start, and we should actually see that first run of true green flag pit stops. David Gervais down pit road. Yeah, this is going to be that initial cycle. This is what we're looking for. Hoping that we can stay green, though. The last thing these guys would want to see is while they're down on pit road is for the caution to come out. And everybody is going to want to make sure that we truly get a cycle of these green flag pit stops. And guys, with 33 laps to go, this should be the last time we'll see these guys down here on pit road today.
I agree. It's the money stop now. You got to make it count. And looks like a great stop for the 06.
So Crowley, Matty Cisna, and Jeff Engler into the lane as well. So we've got all the leaders as Crowley absolutely messes up his pit entry, well, his pit box entry, and is now having to do the old Austin Powers moving to get that car actually on the jacks. That is disastrous in a green flag stop.
That's right, guys. You drive for show and you pit for dough. You can be running the best you've ever run in your life, but if you can't get that car down, get it stopped, get it pointed the right direction for the jack man to get it in and the gas man to get it going, you're going to be sitting there just like you did for way too long. So now his job, yes, got tremendously different, guys, because now he has to go back out, put himself in a posture that he wasn't prepared to be in, and he has got to dig deep to hope maybe that there's going to be a caution flag that'll come out that'll put these guys back together. But barring that, he's going to have to do it on his own. And the driver dug the hole, so the driver's got to fill it in.
Yeah, he lost about 10 seconds in that stop, and that is an eternity on a green flag.
Yeah, it looks like he just locked the rear entering his box. As you see how much the rear kind of kicks out as he's kind of finishing the turn, and it just put it sideways. And I believe in real life that actually would have been a legal stop where the crew would have been able to service the car like normal, just it parked a little askew. But
yeah, were they actually able to get all the way around that thing? I mean, he was almost perpendicular at one point.
We've seen some crazy stops on pit road before. But yeah, iRacing is a little more strict on that. So,
see,
yeah,
James, I'm learning from you. You're teaching me how to be a better person because honestly, if I was in his ear right now, it probably wouldn't be anything nice. You know, these guys down there in the pits, they've been working hard to try to do their job to get it going. The guy up top, he's been doing his job to keep it clear. The driver put them in a really crappy position right now. So I would just say to him, hey, you got to go fix this and just leave him be, because he's got to dig out of that hole. And if he cannot put it behind him, if he doesn't have a short memory, it's really going to affect the rest of his race as well.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you that no one is being harder on Crowe than Crowe himself. He's just, yeah, like with just a tough situation all around. It feels so bad. It was having such a great run, but race isn't over. He could definitely make a comeback here.
That's why they make us run all of the laps, man. I keep telling people that you can't ever count anybody out until the flagman. He's the guy that has the last say-so in this whole thing. Drivers get to drive it out, but Marnie's the one that determines when it's over, and they're just racing to the checkered flag right now. Green flag racing continues, though, and if we're watching,
we've got Chris Vera up there in the lead ahead of Ruben Phelps and Matty Cisner. So good run up the front from these boys. And what we might do just quickly while we are just at this half race marker, so we'll just head to a quick ad break and be back with you very, very shortly.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and Track Racer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
You've got what it takes.
Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
And we are back to the Scorcher Race Fuels 75 lapper here at the Michigan International Speedway. Chris Severa now got the point here, starting this thing all the way back in 15th, and he is in the lead. He has Ruben Phelps, though, who is definitely dialed in, and he is taking full advantage of the draft. Phelps definitely trying to do everything he can to disrupt the air behind Chris Severa, but that's probably not the biggest story. The biggest story is behind him when you've got the 58 car. And
We might have had some sort of incident here.
So just on the exit of the corner, Brad just goes up a little bit high, and then behind gets caught by Devin Baker. No harm, no foul, really, but that was a big moment, and Bradker's had a bit of an afternoon of it, really.
Yeah, he's gotten way too familiar with the backstretch runoff there.
yeah, it's looking more like a drifting competition for him here this afternoon. But Matt Cisna, though, he is going to roll on by Rich Kleiman, and Greg Wachinski is going to slip through the middle. Greg Wachinski now finding his way all the way up in the fourth place. Wachinski would have started this thing back in 7th, but this is the first time tonight that he has actually been in the top 5. So we're going to wait and see what happens with the 5 car, but he's got his GNG teammate, the 24 car, Kenny Powell. Kenny Powell's going to be down low, also trying to make his way up into the top 5 as well for the first time tonight. Guys, if you just stick around, this thing changes so frequently. But Chris Severa, he really is doing what he can to kind of keep the lead. But he's got Ruben Phelps, and Phelps, we all know what Phelps is capable of, and he is going to definitely be behind that 10 car tonight until he is ready to go by him. And I think he definitely has the car to do that. I love Chris. I hope Chris can keep him at bay. But honestly, Ruben Phelps is the car to beat here tonight.
Yeah, the only thing that Chris would have going for him right now is the fact that he'll be able to pick and choose his line, essentially. Like I've been trying to allude to, having that kind of the higher line in a passing situation is such a huge advantage. You see a lot of the races at Michigan tend to single file out, and a lot of the moves done are either slide jobs or passes around the outside. So, we we see a lot of freight training going on, earlier in the race when everyone was still a lot more packed up. So Ruben is going to have to drive around Chris. He's probably not going to get the line he wants to. So he's either going to have to set up a great run, try to slide job, or hope that he can catch Severa napping a little bit, try to slip by on the outside.
Well,
if that's even Ruben's preferred line, he might like running that second line. We don't really know yet.
Well, what we do know, and that is that Greg Wachinski and Kenny Powell have actually gotten by Matty Cisna now, and these two guys are finding themselves into the chase to the lead, actually, at this point. Chris Severa still got his shoulders out, elbows out, trying to keep the 6 of Ruben Phelps at bay.
Yeah, Kenny and Greg, they pitted later than Cisna, right?
They did indeed, yeah. But Greg Wachinski and Kenny Powell are only on 17 laps on this stint.
Yeah, it's a
Ruben
lap.
Phelps 19 and Chris Vera on 20. So they're on some of the freshest tyres out there.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that extra lap wouldn't really mean much, but it makes a big difference. And now the fact that they've got around the cars that pitted the closest to them, now the next 2 cars in line are cars that pitted a lot earlier, 2 and 3 laps earlier to be exact. So this might end up being a huge advantage for these two here in the closing laps.
13 laps to go. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but they got 2 problems. The first problem, they have to catch the leaders. And that's going to be a task in itself. And when they do, they would have to pass the leaders. And guys, if you just know anything about putting an ant on the moon, it can't get there by itself. So they're going to need a little help from God, Mother Nature. I mean, I don't know if you got a lucky rabbit's foot or a jackal or something, but it's going to take a whole lot to get that done for them here tonight. And I'm optimistic. I just think that this battle right now is going to rage between the 10 of Chris Severa and the 6 of Ruben Phelps. And honestly, isn't this what we've been waiting to see? And Chris hadn't been able to finish one of these things thus far this season. He is not even in the thoughts when it comes to the points. But tonight's a night that he said he was going to try to finish the race. And I was excited to see what he could do. Heck, I even called him to win this thing. And here he is leading with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, and he's been quick all season long, too. We saw him run up front for most of the race last week at Vegas, so he's been one of the drivers to watch all season long. And here he is right there again.
Base. Caution's going to come out. It's not out yet. I don't know how. But the 88 car just totally T-bones the Monster Energy car. Somehow we stay under green. Yeah, I have no earthly idea. But 10 laps to go. This is amazing.
And I think for some drivers out there, that caution that didn't come is just so frustrating to see. Imagine for Crowley that seeing that incident just absolutely like a red rag to a bull. It's just so depressing when that caution doesn't come out when you need it.
It's right there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, the caution didn't come out, but you see the 23 car, he is leaving those body parts that we've been talking about. Totally pinched up against the nose, brings the 88 almost to a stop. Caution doesn't come out for some, I don't know how. Now we're 9 laps to go in this thing. Chris Severa still doing what he can.
Yeah, Troy Watson there getting a big hit, and just no caution there. They maybe they needed to throw a couple more gloves on the track or something like that.
Debris,
the only thing I can figure is that, the fact that when the other cars in their pack had gone by them, they were still at a high enough speed. And by the time they got underneath the speed threshold for the caution to come out, it was just the two of them all by themselves. So it just didn't trigger the caution logic to.
And you
throw
gotta
out
love
the yellow.
that too. You totally gotta love it. Plenty of room. Was not a factor to anybody else. Those two guys themselves able to sort their stuff out. Caution doesn't come out, doesn't affect the race at all. Still allows those two guys that are out front duking it out, the 10 and the 006, the 006 to get it going. And these other guys that are chasing get to do that. Because now you get to see the pit strategies. You get to see everything come to fruition. Everything that these guys did from the time that green flag was waving initially to this point, has been on their own decisions, right? They didn't pit the same times. They didn't, everybody's strategy was different. So now we're getting ready to see whose strategy actually works.
And that's the awesome thing about racing, is it's not always just going as fast as possible. There's a lot more wisdom and a lot more brain power required to win a race. Anyone can go fast for the most part, but
anybody can go fast for a little bit.
Yeah, and so there's always you can always build a better mousetrap. There's always different things you can do, different ways to put yourself out there in position to win than just pure raw pace. And we're seeing that now because the knock on wood, the strategy for our top two, it's looking pretty good. This is the first lap in the last few laps that second pack has started to actually gain ground. It's kind of stabilized, and in fact, it's already gone back up to like the 2.2 seconds we've been looking at for the last 3-4 laps. So, go on.
And you're 5 laps to go before this thing is actually in the books, and I'm looking back at the driver who probably had the worst luck of all. That's the 00 of Crowley. Remember, he took himself out of this thing with his pit road mishap, and because of that, guys, he is still back in 8th place. And I'm just wondering, had he actually been able to get that thing in the box and get it situated straight, where would he be in this contest right now? Maybe a caution flag will come out with 4 laps to go and put him back in it. But right now, I mean, it's the Chris Severa and Ruben Phelps show.
Well, there.
Just looking at it, he would have been 1 second off
smack
the
into
lead.
his 5 around.
I was just about to say, probably would have been about 1 second off the lead if the pit stop hadn't gone awry, I reckon, because just looking at the time he lost, he would have been right up there with Ruben Phelps and Severa, really battling it out.
Well, I don't know the accidents number, but I'll tell you what, it's down there on the racetrack looking for a place to happen. It doesn't seem like we want to get this one in the books without a caution. I just think, there's a lot of places to look for this. 3 laps to go. Still a ways to go before we're secure. This is when everything usually goes haywire. We're watching intently around the racetrack to see what happens. And this is Michigan. A lot of these guys, 30, 31, 28, 29 lap stints on their tires. This is the longest they've gone thus far tonight.
Yeah, because now you're going to see the gloves come off with the other packs, because now it's pretty well clear you're not really going to catch any of the cars ahead of you. So it's like, all right, try to...
Matty Cisna gets the 24 Kenny Powell sideways, and he is double impacted. Caution comes out, 3 laps to go. I could almost write a book on this one, ladies and gentlemen. But right there it was. We were looking for, like I said, that caution was down there on the racetrack looking for a place to happen. Kenny Powell's not going to like the way that one is, but if we go back and watch, here comes the 6 car. He is definitely getting the racing coming off of the turn. He's going to get a great run. He's going to come up onto the 24. He is trying to go down to the inside. Just not enough room for him. And then that 6 turns to 24. And like I said, Kenny's probably not going to be real happy about that, because last time I saw that car, it was crabbing. Not a lot of business on pit road. Yeah, he totally got clobbered. Well, you got thoughts on that one?
We called it, didn't we? We were like, racing's gonna pick up in the other packs now, and it picked up and it got put down. So, oh boy, gonna have a green-white checkered now.
Do you pit or do you not pit? I'm not pitting.
Gotta pit. With how this car wears tires, you're gonna be at such a different. I would be pitting.
Look, the next flag's gonna end it anyway. But somebody's gonna fake somebody out here. They all pitted.
And Big Al's the only one that stays out on the racetrack.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be it would be malpractice if you stayed out on those old tires.
I know, man, but sometimes you gotta risk it to make biscuits. Nobody's ever made an omelet without cracking eggs, man.
You're not wrong. So,
just think about it. Think about it. You're going back out there. It's a green-white checker. Even if you're the guy out front that spins it, I mean, if the flag comes out, you can still win it. You just got to be able to get back around, right? Sure. I'm not the only. There's been people that have tried this, so it's not like I just made this up today.
Oh, you're definitely not wrong about that. But did Severa only take 2 tires?
Himself, Chaz Justice as well. So both of those only took 2 sets of tyres. Everybody else took all 4. So there's been some interesting shuffling throughout the lane.
I mean, yeah, the track position. I don't blame those guys for taking 2.
Yeah,
and it looks like there were only 2 that took 2. So.
Yeah, and with how tight this car is, making it loose for those last 2 laps, it's not the worst thing in the world. That's probably what I would have done too if I was the 10.
Yeah, that's why they call them strategies. And fortunately for us tonight, we're getting a chance to see a little bit of everything kind of play out. So drivers have had a lot of tools in their arsenal. They've been able to throw everything at this race right here to stay in it. And even we're watching the double O of Crowley. He is still in this thing. Because although he is just outside of the top 10, we are racked up. Lights are out on the pace car. He's been getting ready to get the heck up out of the way here. As soon as we come back around this turn one time, you got a couple of stragglers trying to catch up to the back of the fray. But no matter what, guys, once the green flag comes out, the next flag will end this thing.
Yep, you got your tires and you've got the Scotcher fuel you're going to be finishing with. You're just hoping for the best now. And before we get back going, just like to give one last thank you to Scotcher Race Fuels for sticking with the league and supporting us.
Indeed. Also want to give a shout out to TWRS, which is Team Watson Racing Setups, because honestly, it takes every bit. It takes a tribe to keep the lights on. It takes if we want to keep bringing this to the fans, we want them to be able to continue to enjoy this with the drivers, because the drivers want to be able to go back and watch this. Everybody likes to hear their name on the radio. Pace car down and away, getting ready to take us to that Geico restart zone is going to be Chris Severa. He's got Ruben Phelps stacked up on his outside. Chris Severa wastes no time getting a solid launch.
A great jump.
It's usually a race into turn 1, but not tonight. Now the 002 trying to do what he can to follow suit. Chris Severa, remember, only took 2 tires. Ruben Phelps right behind him. He is side by side with the 002, trying to make his way. Chris Severa goes low, trying to break the draft, getting every ounce that he can, trying to put whatever he can to his advantage, because he knows with those older tires, if the draft gets on them, he's going to have that much of a problem. Look at, and there's the big one right there through the Geico restart zone. We got cars going crazy, cutting the grass, green flag still out, the white flag's out. This is the final lap. Christopher is still leading this thing. This is a race back to the start-finish line. It is not over just yet. Ruben Phelps doing everything that he can to reel Severa in. The 002 goes into the wall of Chaz Justice. That's going to all but bash his hopes of trying to get it right now. Christopher still trying to shake the draft off of Ruben Phelps. Will he actually be able to get it done coming down low into turn 4? This could be the last one, the last turn for the night. Christopher still has it stacked up the right way coming down across the Geico letters. Christopher is going to take it home tonight. He is going to be your winner.
What a drive from Severa. Oh my goodness, that was a heck of a drive. It took everything he had to keep that 0-6 back. Ruben was coming. He was giving everything he had. What a finish, boys.
Yeah, if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what does. Chris Severa brings it home. He is the winner of the Scarter Race Fuels 150. Ruben Phelps brings it home in P2. Chaz Justice in 3rd. David Gervais in the 4th. Jeff Engler, 5th place. 6th place, Jerry Walters. 7th place, Tristan Koch. 8th place, Paul Olsen. Crowley in 9th, and Matt Breath rounds out your top 10.
And the second half of the standings got Matty Cisna coming home in 11th after those last lap shenanigans. Rich Kleinman in 12th. Greg Wachinski, he took the white facing the wrong way, finishing 13th. Devin Baker in 14th. Kenny Powell 15th. Derek Jacobs in 16th. Russell Bradka 17th. Troy Mortensen in 18th. And Tony Jones going out early there in 19th.
Wow, what a spectacular finish here for a spectacular race, ladies and gentlemen. With that done and Chris Severa's burnout's complete, we're going to take a brief step away, get another word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our post-race show.
You've got what it takes.
Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back with continuing coverage of the night's Everything Simulated, and I am joined in the booth by none other than the 002 Chaz Justice. Chaz, Big Al in the booth, you got me?
I got you loud and clear, Big Al.
Wow, Chaz. a complete race it was for you tonight. I'm not even going to say that it wasn't half a race, it wasn't quarter of a race. You guys started this thing back in 12th, and you got no free passes getting to the front. I think everything was thrown at you, even rocks and chicken bones, man. Talk us through it. How did you actually pull this thing off?
Man, the draft on this track is insane, and tire wear is so important. It coming out of 1 and 2, but I had that line pretty well down. But 3 and 4 gave me fits all night long. But I will have to give credit to my rookie drivers and misfits. We kind of gave our names the misfits. They helped me along in that draft, and man, that's when that caution came out with 2 or 3 laps to go. It was a lifesaver for everybody. And just coming in that pit and just taking 2 tires and a little splash of gas and got me all the way up to 3rd, and I hung in 3rd the rest of the race. It's just a strategy of part strategy and part luck, I guess.
So that definitely was part strategy, because there were 2 guys that actually took 2 tires. At what point did you guys decide that it was going to be a 2-tire stop?
Well, it wasn't really a team decision. It was just a sporadic decision, because I knew we only had 2 laps left. I had 79% on my left front and 50 on my right front, so I figured, well, heck, I might as well just go ahead and throw 2 new tires on the right side and just splash the gas and let's see what happens. And it held good and true for me for those 2 laps.
Yeah, it absolutely did, man, and it was a spectacular finish for you guys. How much work did you guys put into it this week? I mean, because it seemed like your car was actually on the rail. You guys had a pretty fast rocket once you got out here tonight. So, I mean, exactly how much time did it take to get that thing dialed in?
Well, honestly, I probably practiced on AI simulation races on this track probably for 2 or 3 hours earlier this evening. And I was actually contemplating not racing this race today because I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work. But I'm glad I stayed here and glad I raced, because it sure was a fun race.
Yeah, indeed it was, and we are glad that you stuck around, man, brother. It gave us a chance to actually talk to you and kind of push your agenda down the road a little bit. Why don't you tell everybody who you shouting out tonight for your 3rd place finish?
I'm going to give a huge shout out to us Misfits rookies tonight. We both there was 3 of us in our group. We all 3 helped each other out. And honestly, my wife for taking care of the kids and giving me the opportunity to stick to racing and just focus on this for the night while she took care of the kids.
Roger that. We want to thank her too, man. And like I always say, don't party too hard, and we'll see you next week.
All right, take care.
All right, that was your 3rd place finisher, Chad Justice. Now we're joined by the number 2 finisher, the 6 of Ruben Phelps. And he's joined with James Watson. James, take it away.
Ruben, heck of a drive out there, bringing it home in P2. The winning streak coming to an end here for the team, but still a good race for you. Take us through your race and trying to bring home a P2 and battle for the win there at the end.
Yeah, I wasn't really 100% sure what I was going to have tonight, to be fair with you, because we ran some officials and we were like 7 tenths off in the lap time, even just by yourself, which was crazy. So it was very bad in 3 and 4. So I was just like, see what I can do and just keep in the draft, because it's horrendous with this car at the moment, especially on these sorts of racetracks where it's very vital to stay in that sort of track position. But probably noticed that obviously at the end there, where I was contemplating on getting past, but I saw the other fellas, down catching. But if I stayed behind the 10 car, at least it keeps us a little bit of a buffer, because as soon as we start racing, they would have caught right back up. So, but I saw it's a misfit on the radio, and I had a feeling there was going to be a late caution, and it sort of happened at the wrong time, because I would have preferred to be in the lead. But then with the 10 car changing the 2 tyres, it would have made no difference anyway. But I was surprised it didn't actually have as much fall off, but I suppose you get more rotation if you do that. So, but no, other than that, it was fair and clean.
So, if we didn't get that caution, what was going to be your plan of attack? Were you comfortable in all the lanes? Were you going to try to go around the outside, or were you just going to try to do a slide job and hope you could slip by?
Yeah, I was Probably my move probably would have been better if there was like maybe 2 or 3 laps less. Just they had a little bit more rotation, but those last 3 laps, probably the tyres had done it. So, but I think I was going to probably come off 2 and then have a big slingshot into 3 and sort of move my way out. But the draft again is still powerful, so you sort of don't know what's the best scenario when it comes to making a move. But you know, but either way, still second place, no incidents, pole positions, plenty of bonus points. So I mean, second's better than first, but of course you want to have that first mentality. But it is what it is.
Well, it's a heck of a race for you. Still a great points day there for the championship. Any sponsors, plugs, and shout-outs you want to give out?
Of course, Scotch's Race Fuels, who was, I think, sponsoring the championship. Of course, Moondog, Cutsick Sticker Co. Of course, SRM Australia for a team with Matty Ray and Russell Bratko, who has been racing the last couple of weeks. Of course, also our charities of Australia Alopecia and Tears to Reach Australia.
All right, well, thank you for being here, Ruben, and hope we're talking to you next week.
That sounds good.
All right, Big Al, you take our winner.
That was Ruben Phelps, the second place finisher there, being interviewed by none other than James Watson. But then there was one, Chris Severa. Big Al up in the booth. You got me. Chris?
I was muted. Hello.
Chris, while you started this thing, you started this thing all the way back in 15th, and when this race started, I was doubting on you. I was doting. I was saying, hey, this guy says he's going to stick around here. Hopefully, he'll have a chance of maybe changing things up a little bit and change things up. Oh, you did. You battled your way all the way through the field. About halfway, you were in the top 5. Why don't you talk to us then and tell us, because you even put yourself on a different pit strategy. When you were in the top 5, when did you actually think that you had a chance to win this thing?
Yeah, I forget what lap it was before we pit there. I think it was maybe 40-ish or something to go, maybe a little less than that. But I was trying to make moves to get up there second and third. The car was feeling good at that point, and I just couldn't get around him with the draft and everything. So I was just like, well, let's just see what we do with the undercut. And by that time, we had lost almost like 2 seconds. So fortunately, we were able to come out in front and after the cycle there. But yeah, it's unfortunate with that late caution. That was going to be a fun brawl there with Ruben. And I kind of figured he was doing staying behind, not let those other guys catch up, which is real smart. I was trying to manage them with the pace out front as well, but yeah, fortunately we couldn't finish that out. But yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah, definitely. You two were battling. I mean, going at it like two heavyweight fighters all night long, all the way down to the finish. So definitely, I think it was a pretty good match. How did you feel about it overall, though?
The beginning was fun. If you took care of the tires and you were in dirty air long enough, it actually got a little loose, so that was fun. But yeah, it was just way hotter than some of the officials I ran, so 3 and 4 was just absolute park fest to get it around there to save the right front. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's always fun coming in here week after week, racing with these guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. A good time. It looked like it was down there for you. Who you shouting out tonight for your win overall here in the ARCA Sparks League and the Everything Simulated 150?
Oh man, just yeah, all the guys over at G&G just for showing up week after week, give me someone to BS with and chit chat on the radio. Other than that, you know, we ran 3 other officials leading up to this race, and you know, my car felt like it was a homing target for all the wrecks, so that was another reason why I wanted to stick around. And special shout out to Jamie Haynes. You said some mean things to me in the last one, and I won't forget it. You inspired me to run tonight, so thank you.
Nothing like running inspired on fuel. Congratulations to you, Chris, man. Like I always say, don't party too hard, and we'll see you here next Friday night as well.
Thanks, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to put it in the books for us here tonight and everything simulated. I want to give a special thanks to Kobe Bryant and the announcers that we got, Mr. Carl Whitley, Big Al, and Steve Hoppett. I also want to give special thanks to our sponsors tonight. We got Scotch Racing and Fuels. Also, we had the Everything Simulated and Team Watson Racing setups. So thank Second. And 131 Web Radio Network. Couldn't get it done without our sponsors. James Watson, what you got for us tonight, man? Give us some words of wisdom as we get ready to go home. James is gone, so I think that's it. So thank you guys again for tuning in. You can find us again on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We'll see you next week. This is Big Al signing off.